Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We are the New to Bourbon guys. I'm David. I'm here with Bill and Jennings. And in our last episode, we talked about the Old Forester 1910. We talked a little bit about glasses and some of the best ways to enjoy bourbon. We even talked a little bit about ice cubes and just kind of how to enjoy it in different ways. We have also on the table, we mentioned this in the last episode, we'll link that right up here if you want to go back and watch that, but the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. This is an allocated barrel. It's a little bit harder to get than the Old Forester. Bill, why don't you talk to us a little bit about just kind of the allocated bourbons, why they're hard to get, and some of the stuff kind of around that if somebody's not aware of what an allocated bourbon is and maybe the best ways to obtain something like that.
Sure, thanks, David. I'm gonna stumble through some of this because we say that we're the new to bourbon guys, and part of this is that I'm kind of new to bourbon. I've only been doing this a couple years. Jennings knows a lot more about this and has been hunting bourbon a lot longer than I have. But
a little bit longer.
Allocated bourbons, so they drop once or twice a year depending on what it could be. The Toasted Barrel typically from Elijah Craig, I believe, only drops once a year. Something like an Old Fitzgerald may drop twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. Everybody knows about the unicorn bourbons that everybody's out there trying to chase down and find, from Van Winkle or Handy that are hard to find. Those bourbons are allocated. They come in once a year, and that's the thing that drives everybody in the bourbon world. Is everybody chasing after the ones that are hard to find, and we stand in line for them. We freeze our butts off waiting for a store to open, and then we don't get a bottle of bourbon when we in the end. So we've all done that. I know we've all done that because we've been together when we've done that.
We have.
But the rules get changed in the middle of the event, and things make it fun. So Jennings, what about you? What allocated from the allocated side? You've been doing this a lot longer than I have. What's your view?
Allocated is fun. A lot of the times the allocated products are not as good as what's on the shelf. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to admit. And for a lot of folks, me included, in the beginning of this, it was all about, it's the thrill of the hunt. And it really still is. This is still fun, right? There'll become a day where I'm sure it won't be fun, but it's still fun. It's fun to go and search for these things and try to make connections and all that to try to find this stuff. It's still fun, right? It's still a game. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of bourbons out there that are easier to find on the shelves. And then allocated drops, sometimes like David and all these guys were saying, it may have dropped every month, it may drop twice a year, it may drop once a year. You have, Buffalo Trace products usually come in once a month. And those are really highly sought after bottles, and they may or may not be as good as some of the things that are on the shelf. We're gonna kind of talk a little bit today about this Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. It had a lot of hype. Everybody was kind of like, oh man, Toasted Barrel is something different. And there's a lot of different people that came out with their own iterations of Toasted Barrel. Some of them were not great. So we're going to taste this Toasted Barrel here and see if it's any good. So once again, this is Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. It's 94 proof, so it's not going to burn your taste buds up. You can have something after this. We'll try
this is a very similar proof. We were kind of comparing the two different bottles that were very similar proof. So we have a 93 in the Old Forester, and then the 94 in the Elijah Craig. So
we'll pour this one.
Let's
see
pour
what it tastes like.
Yeah, while Jennings is pouring, I just want to put one caveat. You guys are watching this video, and you see the bar behind us. This is my bar where we're filming, and as you can see what's on the shelf, we're talking about allocated bourbons and how hard they are. I know you can see I've got one or two of them back there. So just understand, I've been doing this for a few years. They are hard to find. There's some that I'm missing. I don't have the Van Winkle family stuff, the Thomas Handy, I don't have. I've got one bottle of most of the stuff that I've got. And I've been real fortunate to build some relationships and be able to get some of those. Jennings has helped me pick some of those up. So again, allocated bourbons are hard to come by. You've got to really work hard to get those and chase those down. But when you can find something like this Toasted Barrel or something else that's allocated, and you can pick them up, those are the ones we're all out there hunting for and fighting for. So.
And when you're getting these, when you're pouring these bourbons, right, and you find one of these guys you like, let's say you get this bottle and you love it, try the other things they offer. Because there's a lot of different things that same mash bill is offering. You can get different proofs, different age ratings. There's all kinds of different things that they can do that change the flavor completely. So, he's got some toasted barrels over here on the shelf. He's got some small batch. He's got some barrel proofs. So there's a lot of things you can get out there. So if you like Elijah Craig, if you have some of their stuff, you have some of their lower proof or their entry-level products that are not real expensive and you like them, try some of the other stuff. You probably like them just as good, maybe better. So remember that when you're looking, a lot of these guys use the same mash bill within all of their different lines that they have. So remember that when you're
I'm
looking.
a huge Elijah Craig fan.
Yeah,
I
me too.
mean, the stuff that you buy right off the shelf, the stuff that's readily available is really just great bourbon. It really is.
That's delicious stuff there. I mean, I like that.
Oh, wow, that is delicious.
Yeah.
This has got a kind of older, kind of old school taste to it. Not as viscous as the 1910 for sure, but it's got that same kind of lingering flavor. Gives you the Kentucky hug like everybody talks about. But it definitely has that.
And you'll hear a lot of people talk about finish. What does it taste like on the front end? What does it taste like on the back end? How does it finish? How does it linger? That's some of the stuff that people talk about. Before I became a bourbon drinker, I was a wine drinker. So, those are the kind of things that I can taste a wine or a big cab. I can see and taste a lot of different things. Know what the finish is, how long it finishes, and that type of thing. Bourbon was something I'm having to learn and get used to and kind of understand and know. This one, this is something that taste does linger. It's kind of like the finish of a good Cabernet that just kind of sticks around and you just really enjoy. This would be great with a cigar. And I think that might be something we have to do here later on.
Maybe one more episode we'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe on the next episode we'll do that. Never know.
Yeah. Who knows?
See, and I like to pair mine with things. I've got a family, and so when we're sitting around the campfire or sitting around the fireplace outdoors, my wife will drink bourbon with us. David will come over. It's a good time. We've yet to get this guy over yet, but he'll come over soon.
Well, we always say drink, enjoy, and share, and I think the sharing aspect is probably what we enjoy the most about it. I mean, it really does kind of bring people together, and it gives you, something kind of a jumping off point, something to talk about. We share ideas about different things that we like and different glasses, and basically what we're doing right here on this channel. But I think that this is something that a lot of people have maybe thought about getting into and weren't quite sure where to start. And that's really what this channel is all about. Is hey, I've had some bourbon. I kind of like it. I'm not really sure exactly what I need to look for when I go to buy it. But just get out there, try some stuff, get some stuff off the shelf. You don't always have to start with an allocated bottle. I mean, quite honestly, that like I said, the Elijah Craig products are really some of the best out there. So just get something, start enjoying it. You may like some, you may dislike some, and I think we may have mentioned this in a previous episode, but for me, I think that there's certain bourbons that I may like today, and then
not like them no more.
A week later in a completely different setting, it just doesn't fit. So I think
That's right.
That's why it's good to build kind of a collection, and you kind of have some options to choose from. So.
Yeah, and I haven't run into too many bourbons that I don't like and enjoy. There are some that I've run into a couple.
I had one recently.
We were talking about it just a little while ago that I've got a couple bottles that are on my shelf that I wouldn't drink that. I wouldn't drink those bottles again. So I wouldn't pour those bottles.
Somebody you don't like comes over.
I'm not even sure I'd give it to somebody I don't like, but they're just not good. And if they're not good, I'm not going to serve that to somebody else. I just don't think the quality of the bourbon. I think they're young. I don't think they hold up real well. They're not a Kentucky bourbon. They're from a different state. I think
which isn't always bad.
It's not always bad.
It's not always bad.
Not always bad. I mean, no, because I'm sitting here looking at Midwinter Night's Dram up on the shelf. So there are bourbons and ryes from other places that are all really good.
And you got to think, it don't always come from Kentucky. I mean, a lot of these come from Indiana. We've talked about that in previous episodes.
MGP.
And MGP makes some great stuff. MGP, like we've talked about in other episodes, they really distill for a lot of people, and people will take it and age it themselves and then put their name on it. So if you're looking, look on the back of the bottle. It'll actually say where it's distilled. And on a previous episode, we talked about a 10 cup tenure. On the back, it actually says distilled in Indiana. So when you're looking, look for that. And you may really like their stuff. You may not, but you can try that. I think our goal, one of our goals with this YouTube channel we're doing, we want you guys to have enough information to go out there and be dangerous, as they would say. Have enough information to be dangerous, right? We want you to know enough to go into a store and say, okay, I'm going to try this one, or I'm going to try this one, or at least be able to ask questions to the store owner or the store clerks, because those guys can be a wealth of knowledge. Sometimes they're not. You can go to some places and they say, oh, you got to try this one. We were just talking about that earlier.
Yep.
And it's horrible stuff, but you just never know. But if you go into one of your smaller family-owned places, those are the places, those guys are going to tell you, this is great, try this one. Or you can tell them, hey, let's just say you say, I like Maker's Mark. Okay. They may say, well, try this one because it's wheated. It's a wheated bourbon. So it's something you can look into. But that's what we want you guys to do. We want you guys to be able to understand a little bit more about this and have fun with it, right? Like have your friends over and have these bottles and sit around and talk about nothing for 2 hours because you can. So that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And sitting around the fire, campfire, hanging out at a good speakeasy or bourbon bar, just to hang out and talk and spend time together is always a lot of fun. Obviously, drink responsibly. We don't want anybody drinking and driving and that type of thing. But I travel for work, so the business I'm in, I travel a good bit. I'm fortunate that I get to travel in some areas that have some really great restaurants, and I've met some really good bartenders that have phenomenal taste in bourbon. They have some great bourbon selections. I mean, when you can walk into a place and they've got every Pappy on the shelf, and they've got Old Forester birthday bourbon and all the different things that people are looking for, and it's sitting on the shelf, and you can buy it and try it there. It makes a lot of fun, especially when you've got somebody that's knowledgeable that can talk about it, tell you about the bourbon, tell you what they like about it, tell you can taste some different years of the bourbon. So it's a lot of fun. It's enjoyable to have the stories and to spend time getting to know people and hanging out and
That's right.
enjoying bourbon.
And just because you're new to bourbon doesn't mean that you have an invalid opinion either. I think everybody has a different set of taste buds, and I may like something that somebody else doesn't like. And if you're new to bourbon, that just gives you another reason to go spend time around people who know more than you do. Jennings knows a lot more about it than I do, and he can introduce me to different bourbons that I haven't had, and some of them I like that he tells me that are great, and I'll taste it, and it just doesn't do it for me. And
that's okay.
And the other way around as well. So, and that's fine. But drink it the way you like it, enjoy it, and share it with your friends.
Absolutely,
That's what this is all about.
Yeah, most of you might be in a bourbon group. If you're not, I'm sure in your town or your city that you're in or the state that you're in. I happen to live in North Carolina. We've got the North Carolina Bourbon Society is here. There are great groups around. Jennings and David live just across the border. I'm just right across the border in North Carolina. But they're in South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina. There's some great groups down there. The Upstate Bourbon Society and
Great group of folks.
Great group
for
of
sure.
folks.
Yeah.
I'm a member of that group as well, and there are just some really good folks that are there and knowledgeable about bourbon. We have a lot of fun. Do some call outs with folks. So we try and make it interesting, try to make it fun,
We do.
and
It's definitely fun.
It is fun.
That's the thing, is to enjoy it. So
That's right.
take the time, share with your friends. If you would, tell them about our channel. Please remember, if you can, hit the like button, subscribe for our channel. Give us comments. Tell us what you like. Try to be pleasant. If you don't like the content, that's fine. We're here to
There are a lot of other channels out there you can
There are
watch
a
instead.
lot of other folks you
A lot
can
of great
watch that are
ones.
going to give you tasting notes and tell you 15 different red fruits that come in every bourbon, and that's just not us. Like I said, when I smell it, I smell bourbon. So enjoy it. Hope you guys like our content, like what we're doing. We've got some new things coming. We're going to be doing some things that are going to be very unique, we think, as we kind of continue to grow this channel. And we're going to have some fun times. So
Indeed.
Thanks for being here. Always remember, it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Cheers.
Cheers.